and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Today I'll be talking about my top 5 favorite books that I read this winter and talk about the books that I am making it a priority to read this spring. I thought it would be a cool idea to talk about the books that I have been really loving lately. So all of these, except for one that are in one of my honorable mentions, are all 5-star books that I read this past 3 months. Of course, I've talked about all these books in recent wrap-ups, but I definitely want to highlight them in one video because all of these are books that I absolutely loved, so I thought we should talk about them. This is only going to be a positive video. I did think about talking about my least favorite reads that I read in winter, but fortunately there are not enough bad books that I've read recently to make a full video on, so we're not going to do a worst books list. We'll save the worst books list for the end of the year. And I'm also going to talk about the books that I really want to read this spring because there are a lot of books that I want to get to as soon as possible. I did pick 5 books that are on the top of my TBR that I want to get to this coming season. But first, I am going to talk about the top 5 books that I read this winter, which is the months of December, January, and February. Also, I have to mention, I really experimented with my makeup this time. I was really inspired by Chapel Roan. She is like the makeup queen right now, and I really wanted to take some inspiration from her signature makeup look with the white foundation, so I tried it out. I don't know if I can pull it off, but I did it anyway. So yeah, lots of experimentation with my makeup. I might look like a ghost on camera because of the white face, but you know what? I thought, why not? Let's try something new. I do have 3 honorable mentions. I enjoyed all these books as well, just not as much as my top 5, but I do want to mention them because I really did enjoy them and they still deserve to be on this list. So the first honorable mention I have is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Of course, everyone knows what this book is. I don't even have to explain the synopsis. I'm sure you know, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to quickly acknowledge the first book. So this one is definitely an honorable mention because I did really love the first book. Iron Flame was good too, but I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler for my end of the month wrap up for March. I DNF'd Onyx Storm temporarily. I just was not feeling it right now, but I'm sure I will get back into it at some point. But I do feel like this series has gone downhill a little bit, but I did enjoy the first book and I'm still going to mention it. It's a solid first book in a series. I just wish the rest of the series was better at this point, which is sad to say. I'm also going to mention A Storm Rises by Rose Garcia. I got this book as an ARC in February and I really enjoyed it. I read this book, the first one, and then I also got the second book as an ARC as well. This one is the first book in a young adult fantasy series and it has to do with fae, so if you love fantasy books about fae, definitely check this one out. This is without a doubt a series that I am going to be following. I will be seated when the third book comes out. And this book I actually did give 4 stars to, so it's not a 5-star book, but this book was so memorable that I think it's worth mentioning, and that was Credence by Penelope Douglas. I am still thinking about this book even though I read it a month ago. This book was definitely impactful and memorable. I did have some issues with it, that's why I gave it 4 stars instead of 5, but everything that happens in this book is still very much on my mind, and I did enjoy it. I could not put it down, so I'm going to have to mention it. Definitely read it if you're into taboo romances. So those were my honorable mentions. Now we'll get into my top 5. I am going to show these in order of least favorite, which is still favorite of course, to most favorite. And I'll be giving the synopsises to all of these because I also want this to serve as a recommendations video. That way y'all can check them out if they sound interesting to you. So coming in at number 5, I have 1,000 Broken Pieces by Tilly Cole. So this is the second book in a duology. The first book is 1,000 Boy Kisses, which the first book has been a very popular book for quite a while now, and I never picked it up until recently, and I did enjoy 1,000 Boy Kisses for sure, but I love the sequel even more. This sequel was so heart-wrenching and so lovely and just made me feel all the feels. I did say that I was going to give synopsises to these books, but this is a really hard book to give a synopsis to because I feel like if I do tell you what this one is about, it will low-key spoil 1,000 Boy Kisses. So I'm not going to go into depth on what this one is about because it will imply what happens in the first book. And I just don't want to spoil the first book for y'all because the first book is also amazing and you should check it out. But be prepared, these 2 books will make you cry. They are so emotional. At number 4, I have First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. This was the first book I have ever read from this author, so she was a new to me author, and I'm so glad I checked this one out because it was so freaking cute. So this story was actually inspired by Sleepless in Seattle, which I haven't mentioned this while talking about this book yet, but I had never seen Sleepless in Seattle before going into this book. I just watched it with my mom actually recently, and I really liked it. I decided to watch it specifically because of this book and the fact that it was inspired by it. So thank you to this book for making me watch Sleepless in Seattle because I probably wouldn't have otherwise. But anyway, this one is about Lucy and Aiden. And Aiden is the host of a romance hotline, and he gets a call from Lucy's daughter asking him if he could help her mom find a date because her mom is single and her daughter really wants her to find love. So Lucy catches her daughter talking to this random guy on the phone. She's like, "What's going on? What are you doing?" And her daughter explains the whole situation, and Lucy ends up taking the phone from her daughter to see what's going on, what this is all about. And so she ends up spilling to Aiden the fact that, you know, she's been single for a while, but she just can't find love, but she wants it. She just can't find it with the right person, and just spills all of her feelings and worries regarding love to him. And the call actually ends up going viral. So the radio station decides that it would be a great idea, since the public likes Lucy so much from this call, to have her come on the show so that Aiden could help her find love by screening calls from men who call into the show wanting to talk to Lucy. That way they can find a date from her, and it would make good content for the show. But the thing is that Aiden starts falling in love with Lucy, but it's very difficult of a situation because he has to help her find a date. And Lucy starts growing feelings for Aiden as well, and the whole situation is just so freaking adorable. I love the romance between these two, and I loved that Aiden was everything that Lucy was looking for when it came to love. It's like he was right there, and yet she's continuing to look for it elsewhere, but everything she wanted was right there. And when she finally realizes that, oh my god, it's the cutest thing ever. So if you want to read an absolutely adorable romance, read this one. It has such rom-com vibes. I loved it so much, and I will definitely be picking up the sequel when it comes out next year, which I can't wait for. The next 2 books I'm going to talk about are actually a part of the same series, so that's interesting. But number 3 is Twisted Games by Anna Huang. This is the second book in her Twisted series. I enjoyed most of the books from the series. I didn't really like the last book, but the first 3 I really loved. But Twisted Games was one of the 5-star books in this series for me. So in this one, we are following Bridget and Reese, and Bridget is a princess who is in need of a new bodyguard because I believe I can remember her initial bodyguard went on paternity leave. I think that's what happened. I'm pretty sure. Either way, her original bodyguard had to quit or take a break from being her bodyguard, so she ends up hiring a new bodyguard named Reese. And Reese is very, like, he's one of those brooding characters. Him and Bridget don't really get along too well at first because Reese is really strict and Bridget doesn't really like that. She feels very confined by Reese's rules, so they don't hit it off well right away. But eventually they do start growing more interested in each other and falling for each other as they get to know each other more. But this makes for a very forbidden romance because Bridget is not supposed to fall in love with her bodyguard. So that is the basic premise right there. I just love the forbidden aspect of this book. I love forbidden romances. So watching a romance unfold between a princess and a bodyguard was super sweet to see. And I really loved watching the hate to love romance that grew from this. I think it was executed so freaking well, and I loved how Reese was brooding, but low-key very sweet. Like, his sweet side came through a lot. So this book was super cute, super spicy as well. I absolutely adored it. Coming in at number 2 is my favorite book that came out of the Twisted series, and that is Twisted Hate. I still think about this book. I read it in December, and I still think about it. I still think about this romance. I still think about these characters. I still think about their dynamic. Like, this book is on my mind to this day, and I read it in December, which is crazy. So in this one, we are following Josh and Jules, and these two, like, legit hate each other. Like, if you are looking for a true enemies to lovers romance, look no further than this one, because this is a real like hate to love romance. These two despise each other, so much so that in the beginning of this book I did not know how in the world they were going to be able to fall in love with each other, but they do, and it is executed so freaking well. And Josh and Jules are put in a position where they are in like forced proximity. They have to work together, and that's how they end up growing more feelings for each other, because they slowly start to realize that there are things about each other that are really admirable, and so they find that they can't completely hate each other anymore. The thing I really love about this enemies to lovers romance is that even after these two fall in love with each other, their bickering dynamic doesn't go away. Like, they still have that like teasing, bickering chemistry between them. The only difference is that they just love each other a lot more than they did initially. So I really love that their relationship or dynamic did not really change that much. There was just a little more love between them. If you are going to pick up any book from the Twisted series, pick up this one. It is so good. I'm so pumped that the series is getting a TV show adaptation on Netflix, and I know they're going to cover Twisted Love, the first book, first, but I cannot wait till they adapt this book because it's my favorite. I am so looking forward to seeing it. And now we have my number one favorite book that I read this winter. This book is definitely without a doubt going to be in my top 10 favorite books of 2025. This one has stuck with me for the past 2 months because I read it in January, and I've talked about it a lot, and I'm going to talk about it again, but that is Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. This book is super popular for good reason. It was really popular before I got into it. That's what made me pick it up, but the hype for this is deserved because it is so freaking good. So getting into what this one is about. So we are following Allie and Josh, and Allie is a trauma nurse, and when she is on her breaks, she likes to go on TikTok and look at thirst traps of men in masks. She's really into that, and she's specifically into this one masked TikToker, and she's always commenting on her videos saying how much she wants him and all that. So she is very much a fan of his. And one day she gets the idea to text her current fling that she would love for him to wear a mask like the masked men TikTokers that she sees as a form of role play, and she sends her favorite masked TikTokers video to him, and her fling shows her text to his roommate saying like, I can't believe this girl's into this, like this is super weird. And it turns out that his roommate is actually the masked TikToker in the video, the one that Allie is super obsessed with. And when he finds out that she is super into him and that she is the one who has been commenting on his videos saying how much she wants him, he decides that it would be a great idea to start stalking her. So he does, and she eventually finds out, of course, that he is stalking her, but she's actually really into it and plays into it a lot. So yes, this book does have stalking in it, but Allie actually consents to it and likes it. And so Allie's agenda becomes finding out who is the guy that is behind the mask that is stalking her. And it goes from there, and it is so good. This book is so freaking fun. It is a dark romance, but I would say that it has more of a comedy element to it than most dark romances have. I would say this book feels way more of a rom-com than a dark romance, but it still is a dark romance because of the fact that it has stalking in it. And that way it makes for such a unique book. And I loved Josh and Allie so freaking much. They are so adorable. Their dynamic is just so playful. I love the back and forth banter between them. This book also has like some of the spiciest scenes I have ever read, and they are written so incredibly well. You will not help but just fan yourself while reading these spicy scenes. They are so freaking good. This book also takes a turn at the end where it introduces a mafia element, which I wasn't expecting, but I really loved how it was handled. This is the first book in a series, and of course I'll be checking out the second book when it comes out this summer. I believe it comes out in June, and I cannot wait for it. I have already pre-ordered it, so I will be reading it right when it comes out. But y'all, if you have not checked out this book yet, please do. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, pick it up. Like I said, it is hyped for good reason. So there you have it, the top 5 books that I have read this winter. And now let's get into the 5 books that I am making it a priority to read in the spring. I have only kept this list to 5 just to make room for, of course, other books that I'm going to come across that I'll be wanting to read within the next 3 months. So that's why I didn't choose too many books to put on this TBR. I just kept it to 5. So these ones are all the ones that are on the tippy top of my TBR right now. So let's talk about them. So I am going to be mentioning 5 books, but these 2 books that I'm going to talk about right now are part of the same series. So I'm just clumping them together and talking about them as like one book. But technically that does mean that I have 6 books to show, but I'm just clumping these 2 together. So those 2 books are The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. These 2 are part of the Hunger Games. You can't even call it trilogy anymore. It's pretty much just the Hunger Games series at this point. I cannot believe I have not read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes yet. Like, who am I? As someone who was obsessed is like an understatement. As someone who was, I don't even know another, like a bigger word than obsessed, like consumed, I guess, by the Hunger Games trilogy when I was in middle school, I can't even believe that I have not read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes yet. This book came out in 2020 and I still have not read it. Like, who am I? I feel like such a fake Hunger Games fan, but I mean, I was way more obsessed with the trilogy when I was like 14. So, of course, I've grown older now, but it's just so weird that I have not read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Like, who am I? Who am I? I need to read that book. I will say that I was pretty taken aback by some of the reviews that did come out about The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I did come across a lot of negative reviews when this book first came out, but there are also some people who do love it. So I think I was just really worried that if I read this book and ended up not liking it, that I would taint the Hunger Games trilogy for me, because that trilogy holds such a special place in my heart. It's one of the first books that made me get into reading in the first place. So I'm just worried that these following 2 books that have come out recently would taint my love for the trilogy. But I just need to read them. I just need to. As someone who was such a huge fan of the Hunger Games and still is to this day, I just gotta read them. So I am going to read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes because I have not yet. That book, if you don't know, it follows President Snow, who is the main villain of the trilogy. And I believe it follows him when he's like a teenager. Other than that, I don't know what this book is about. I believe it probably follows his origin story. So I am really interested in reading it. Sunrise on the Reaping came out this month, just recently. I do want to read it, but I do feel like I should probably read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes since it came out first. But I am more looking forward to Sunrise on the Reaping because this one follows Haymitch, who is one of the most interesting characters in the Hunger Games trilogy. So I'm very intrigued to read his story. It follows his time at his initial Hunger Games. And I have heard from people who have already read this book that the beginning is super sad. So I'm going to prepare myself. I am. I'm sure it's sad because it's the Hunger Games, but man, people are really saying this book is so sad. So I cannot wait to read these books. I'm putting them on my TBR for next month. They are definitely going to be a priority. Next, I have Dark Lover by J.R. Ward. This is the first book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. I have read this book before. I've actually read this book 2 times now, but I am going to reread it for a 3rd time because the TV show adaptation for this series is coming out on Passionflix in June. So I do want to reread this before I watch the adaptation because it's been a while since I've read this and I love to like reread books that I love before watching the adaptation so that I can adequately compare the 2. So that is my plan. I really love this series. However, it is an incredibly long series. So much so that I still have not made it through all of the books because it is so long. I think there's over 20 books in this series. It is insane. Each book though follows a different character, so we're not following the same character throughout the whole books. All the books just take place in the same world. And if you don't know, this is a series following vampires. It is super good, super steamy as well with the romances. I've actually enjoyed every single one of the books that I've read in this series so far. I need to continue on with the rest of the books in this series. It's just so intimidating because it's so long. So yeah, gonna reread this one. I am very much looking forward to the adaptation. The trailer for it looks pretty good and promising. promising, so I have high hopes. Next, I have Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. I've been really wanting to read this one because it has been compared to Lights Out, and like I mentioned, I love that book, so I feel like I'll enjoy this one as well. The only thing I know about it is that it follows two serial killers and their adventures together, so it sounds pretty interesting. I don't know if this one is categorized as a dark romance, but I feel like it is because of the subject material. But because it has been compared to Lights Out, it probably has the same kind of comedy element as well. So we'll just see how this one goes. I've heard mixed reviews, but the synopsis sounds interesting enough that I'm still intrigued to pick it up. Next, I have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. So this is a very infamous book, but I love reading infamous books. The more infamous a book, the more curious I am about it. So that's the reason I want to pick this one up. It's infamous because of the subject matter for whatever reason. It's kind of weird because the synopsis of this book just sounds like your typical spicy romance. Like there's so many books like this that I know of based on this one synopsis. Let me add here that one of the reasons why this book is so infamous is because of its original cover. Here I have the collector's edition, but the original cover is criticized for looking too cartoonish when the material of this book is so mature with its spicy scenes, which is a criticism I can get behind because the original cover to this book looks like it could be from a Disney movie, and I don't really like that based on what I've heard about what's in this book. I don't think a cover that looks like the characters could be in a Disney movie should be associated with a book that is so heavy with its steamy scenes. So that is one of the main criticisms that this book has and why it is so infamous. I wanted to add that here because for some reason while talking about this book, I completely forgot about that fact. But for some reason, it's super controversial in the book community and even outside of it. Like I've seen so many YouTube channels that aren't even book-related YouTube channels talking about this one. Like for some crazy reason, this book is controversial, not even just in the book community, but outside of it as well. So that's what makes me really intrigued to pick this one up because of the drama surrounding it. As far as I know, this book is about a hockey player and an ice skater, and they are forced to share a rink together when they don't get along so well. So this one, I believe, is an enemies to lovers romance, and it goes from there. All I know is there's just a bunch of spicy scenes in it. That's why it's so infamous. Like, I'm gonna open a page right now. I should do this. I haven't even thought of doing this, but I've seen people do this. Like, open a random page and see, like, what it says. Hopefully I won't spoil myself. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I see what people mean. Like, I already, yeah, this is a spicy scene right there. So I see what people are talking about. Like, if you can just open a random page of this book and it's automatically like a sex scene, like I can see why I can see why it's infamous. But I'm really looking forward to reading it and seeing what I think of it. Based on the material, it sounds like something I'd be into, so I'm looking forward to seeing what I think about it. And the last book I'm going to mention that I am making a priority to get to in spring is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. Y'all, I've been wanting to get to this book for so long. This is definitely my #1 priority read for this season. This one just sounds so freaking good, and I've heard nothing but like raving reviews about it, so I just need to read it already. Another reason why I need to get to it ASAP is because I'm also making it a priority to get through all of my books from Book of the Month as soon as possible. So this is one of my Book of the Month books. It's actually the first book that I got from Book of the Month, and I still have not read it yet, and I got it 3 months ago, which is so bad. So that's another reason why I want to read this one really soon. This one, I think it's a dark romance. I'm pretty sure it's been described as like a dark fantasy as well. So this one is a fantasy one, and all I know is it takes place in this sort of game where our main character is forced into this game because she has to like save her sister from it. And there's 9 levels of this game, and she's stuck in it until she completes the game. And she also comes across I don't know if he's like a ghost or a phantom, some kind of like entity being or something like that. She comes across him, she meets him, and he is stuck in this game. And I believe that he makes a deal to help her get through the game if she is able to get him out of this world. And we follow a romance between them. It just sounds so freaking good. It sounds so good. I love the idea of this sort of game. It reminds me of Caraval, which I wasn't a huge fan of the Caraval series, but I love the concept of a game that the main character is stuck in that is in that series. So if this book can do that concept well, oh my god, it'll be one of my favorite books of all time. So I am really looking forward to checking this one out. I plan to put it on my TBR for April, and the sequel to it I believe comes out in April as well. So that is also what's motivating me to finally get to this one. All right, there it is, my favorite books that I read in winter and my spring TBR. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I have mentioned. I would really love to know. I will say that I'm glad the quality of my reading has been so great these past 3 months. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I didn't have enough books to even make a worst books of winter list. Like there's not that many. I've just been reading so many good books. And I'm pretty sure I'll also be doing a favorite books that I read in spring. As long as my reading experience in spring is successful and I end up reading a lot of 5-star books, then I will definitely make another one of these videos at the end of spring. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will definitely be back with a new one next week. I know I missed my upload for last week, but reason being is because I had planned to publish my reading vlog for Onyx Storm last week, but like I mentioned earlier, I ended up DNFing Onyx Storm, so I did not have a video to put up for last week, so I was at a loss. That's why I did not upload last week. But that's okay. Honestly, if I miss a week here and there, it's okay, and I'm sure it's fine with y'all because I'm like a very little YouTuber. So if I miss a week, it's not like a lot of people are going to be like, oh, like how could you have done that? How could you miss a week? Like not a lot of people are going to be mad. As long as I don't completely fall off and I keep publishing videos, then it's all good. So I will for sure be publishing a new video next week, and actually next week I should be coming out with my wrap up for this month and my TBR for next month. So I should be publishing more than one video next week. It'll make up for the loss for last week. Anyway, I'll be back really soon. Bye!